when you were talking before, you did make mention of the fact related to what happened to your mother, no? That your mother could have taken an action. Maybe grip this woman, because if your mother has part of somebody's face and say, go away from here, she will go to jail for that.
Mm-hmm.
Because the human society doesn't condone those kind of stupidity.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody did that to her. She didn't take action, because if she take action, according to you, and of course we know this, maybe she is going to be treated as the aggressor.
Yeah.
This is because of the system, the way the system is set up. Racially dangerous to a certain group of people. Why is it like? Is it a mistake? They don't yet understand that it is not fair?
Yeah. Oh, they know. I'm sure they know, but when we date back to, and I always like to look back at history, right? We go back in time. It stems from a level of power and feeling superior. That's where it stems from. It's we are going to oppress, this population of people look different. We are going to oppress and will continue. I mean, like when we look back at history, we see it. And so now it plays out. And it's not that people don't see it. It's not that people don't know. They know very well. But they still continue. And that's how come there are, a number of activists, a number of leaders throughout time, dating back, right? It's funny because when I think about, Martin Luther King and amazing leaders that have been influential in the movement and passing things, bringing it to light. Oftentimes I hear those that identify as white say, well, Martin Luther King, he was all about peace. And Martin Luther King, he died for us and he just died. No, 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 no. Martin Luther King was murdered.
Do you know that telling a story is one of the most powerful ways to connect with your audience? Do you know that the human brain processes story much more easily and quickly than facts and figure? Stories are a great way to engage your audience, get them interested in your products and services, and inspire them to take action. A good story will help you create more compelling content that can be shared on social media or through other channels. And it's not just about telling a compelling story, it's also about knowing how to tell it effectively. Now, do you want to better connect with your audience? Then join us on our online training class, Storytelling for Content Creators and Digital Entrepreneurs. Come to obehiair14.com/storytelling and learn how to leverage your storytelling skill to earn more as a content creator and digital entrepreneur. Storytelling is a powerful way to connect with your audience, so let's explore it together. See you in the class.
And he was simply murdered because he just wanted equity, right? He just wanted a level of fairness for Black people. So imagine advocating for just bare minimum human rights and being murdered for that. It stems back to no, we cannot create a shift in power. What's happening? When we start to look at, in about 10 years or so, 5 to 10 years or so, our population is going to be much more multicultural, right? That means power is then shifting. That's how come we see a lot of these laws that protect people now being tampered with, being overturned. It goes back to a level of power, it goes back to a level of superiority. No, this can't happen. But we see it happening. And I always say, with change is slow, but people are no longer and I will say specifically Black people and those that are systemically oppressed are no longer staying silent. There's a level of strength that we all have as well. And we're saying we can no longer operate like this within our society. We can no longer operate like this from a legal perspective. We can no longer operate like this within the workplace. We can no longer operate like this within education, within our neighborhoods. And there is more action, there's more advocacy, there's more support groups so that you can recharge and continue to do this work.
Yeah, that's very important.
Yeah.
It's very, very important, because now we can look at data, we can look at what has happened in the past 30 years, 50 years, 100 years. You see, before also you were say something that I hear a lot of people talk about, that they're tired. They are tired. I've seen some people leaving the United States, going to stay even in some other parts in the American continent, say, I just want to have peace.
Yeah.
I want my child to grow up and not have it to be, one thing is to be a criminal. For this, you are being treated as a criminal. Another thing is just be a normal human living in the society, and you will still be at the risk of being just be killed for nothing. Sometimes people get tired. Anyway, now looking at data, all the things that have been happening, what do you think is a strategy that people should adopt? I'm not saying we should go around now and start kneeling down. Oh, please help us. Please tell me, what are the strategies to be alive?
The strategy to be alive. I wish I had all the answers there. What I say is that more than ever, we need to come together as a people. More than ever, coming together and creating our tribe, our community, healing within our own communities as well, and really starting to rebuild with each other is going to be a critical point. Something that I'm really proud of to see is that there are many Black people that are creating businesses, that are employing each other, that are thinking, create new developments, new cities, right? How can we be a part of this? How can I bring you onto a project that I'm working on that'll help you drive within what you're doing? And so we're seeing a lot of community building amongst each other. And that's something that we've always yearned for and had, but was dismantled and was broken apart. So it's I think more than ever, leaning on each other as a force is going to be critical in creating the change that we want to see.
Now, within this area, within this ambit that you have opened up, can you explain to us what is it that you do? There can be maybe your business, your social engagement. Help us understand so that somebody can learn from you.
Yeah, so it's funny because I always joke around and I say I'm a true African. I have many jobs, right? But so I work full time for an organization in the technology industry, and I'm vice president of global inclusion. So what I'm doing is focusing on policies, processes, education for the organization to really make sure that we're creating an inclusive, equitable, diverse environment for every single person within that organization. And so I'm really proud of the organization that I'm a part of. I also have two companies. So I have a technology platform called Dipper. Dipper guides professionals of color to a better workplace, one review at a time. So oftentimes, we may experience inequities within these organizations, and we look for a new organization and we get ourselves back into the same thing. So what Dipper does is it'll actually guide each member to the best organizations. You'll be able to read reviews and see what the experience is like for other people that are systemically overlooked. And some of them are good, some of them are bad, and some of them are indifferent. So you'll get a full spectrum and perspective of the experience. Also, there are job opportunities listed there. And typically, if we're listing a job opportunity of an organization, they're an organization that we believe in, that is on the path of doing the work and being sustainable. And I don't say organizations are perfect, right? But organizations that are actually actively doing the work. And then I have a consulting business, and that focuses on diversity, equity, inclusion, and anti-racism. So I work with Fortune 500 companies. I work with startups as well. Again, to really identify and assess, hey, what are the gaps that exist? I think oftentimes what organizations like to do is they will poll, hey, how are our communities of color within our organization feeling? Or how are those that are systemically overlooked feeling? And I'm like, well, you know, they're not feeling too happy, right? Like, you know. Or I get some organizations that will say, well, Netta, we conducted a survey and 86% of our people say that we're an inclusive organization. And I'm like, okay, but how many people are from systemically overlooked populations, right? Like, is that a true determining factor of the full experience for all people? Or are you just looking at the majority of the demographic that you have within your organization? So oftentimes what I like to do is say, well, let's assess managers with direct reports. Let's assess the impact that they are making so far. Do they even know the impact that they're making? Are they even tasked or accountable for diversity, equity, inclusion initiatives or solutions? Or are they a part of the problem? How many people have left their teams due to the lack of psychological safety that they are creating within their teams? And oftentimes organizations don't know. So that is, you know, the work that I'm proud to be doing. I'm also working on a project to create the most inclusive city in America, and that's called Tolosa. So we haven't had a new city in over 100 years. And so working with some amazing leaders to create this something beautiful. And what really ignites me about this project is it's not just about me. It's not just about the founding members that are going to be creating this new city. It's really about anyone that wants to be a part of an inclusive city. We want to listen to their voice and we want to build around them. So really excited for these projects.